Hello and welcome to the Tuesday, July 28th meeting of the Finance Committee. We have a very brief meeting tonight, hopefully, just for the purpose of reviewing minutes. But before we begin, I have to read the mandatory statement. Pursuant to the Governor's order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Paragraph 20, as well as the Select Board's emergency order dated March 16th, 2020, the Finance Committee will be using remote participation for this meeting. The audio of this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the town's webpage within 24 hours in accordance with the Governor's emergency action requirement of keeping the public informed of actions during this meeting. I would ask that all participants remotely attending this meeting please state your name for identification purposes each time you speak throughout the meeting. This time I will take a roll call of attendees from the committee. Ms. Nersessian.
Here.
Mr. Alfred.
Here.
Ms. Zemer.
Here.
Mr. Maxwell.
Here.
Mr. Whitaker.
Here.
Mr. Murphy.
Here.
And of course I'm here. So now we are officially called to order at 7:03. Now, the first thing I want to say is that we have only one item on the agenda, so let's stick to it, which is just approval of minutes. I will make the commentary that for anybody that endured the pain of reviewing what Mr. Whitaker put together for the minutes, I have already informed him not to produce War and Peace for every minute. The irony is that his minutes took hours to review. So, that says it all right there. So anyway, so you got that message, Mark, keep more succinct going forward. Okay. So from what I see, and let me just pull up my little window here. The minutes we have are we have, I think, 5 sets that were outstanding. So we have just to go through, I'll tell you what we're going to cover: the 24th of June, the 30th of June, July 7th, July 14th, and July 15th. Okay.
I had sent out a whole bunch, Ken. But
you did? Okay, which ones?
None of those. So,
well, obviously not any of those. Those were Mark's. So let me see. I did a search for minutes.
Since nobody read them, we couldn't hold off until later, I guess.
Okay, so hold on. Let me see. Let me just make sure. Okay, so
I believe I have the ones I have dated at least was 9/17, 9/10, 9/3, 7/9, and 6/4.
So let me get those dates so I can make sure to
see when I
remind everybody to read those. So what do we have? What are the dates, Vince?
I believe, let's go forward. I believe June 4th. This is 2019, people. June 4th, July 9th, September 3rd, September 10th, and September 17th.
Okay. Those were the last sets that Celeste did?
No, those are the ones Celeste did.
Okay. Okay.
I sent it on the 6th-ish or so. Okay,
so let's put those. I wanted to get those. That's why I said I wanted to know where we were, because I wasn't sure between you and Mark where we stood on all these. But these will be much easier review. We'll plan on reviewing those at our next meeting. So everybody take that to heart. Write those dates down. I'll send out an email reminding everybody after
I'll send them right now again, so everybody has them.
That's what I was going to say. Just make it easy so that people can just go to an email and read them all.
Yep.
Okay.
So on the 24th, you want to start on the 24th then?
Yes, so start on the 24th. So I sent just prior to the meeting, I know it was last minute. That's because it took me 4 days to edit Mark's minutes. So I sent out my edited version, right? I'll say this, if you read Mark's, you probably want to read mine because there were lots of things that I corrected that were not stated totally accurately. I mean, it wasn't like they were wrong, but they were either misleading or I didn't capture the discussion. So I went through and I edited a bunch of that to make sure that was clarified. So that's why I sent them out again before the meeting. I know, as I said, I know it was late, but so I don't know, did people look at anything I sent, or did people look at just what Mark sent, or?
I was going through what you had just sent earlier. Just a couple notes of ticky-tacky things. Streetlights is one word. According to Word, MS Word, it was correcting it.
Okay, just so you know, some software programmer who puts it into Word is not the OED. Okay.
I'm
just saying.
True,
I'm just saying they want to correct my name to Ken Saudi too, but that's not right either. So
that's, how do you know? Maybe it is.
Okay.
And a couple places of comments, like they suggest having a comma after the word "in addition" or the phrase "in
Okay,
addition" at
so-
the beginning
so-
of it.
So let me put it this way. Let's talk about substantive changes first.
I didn't see any substantive.
Okay, because I was going to say, like, I don't want to spend 40
Yep,
minutes going over comments.
I agree.
So, okay. So does anybody have any substantive, we'll talk June 24th, any substantive changes to the minutes of June 24th?
Motion to approve the minutes of June 24th, 2020.
Okay, which are we talking on my edited versions?
From the Dr. Chair version, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're specifying which one we're approving. Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, does anybody have any further comments on the minutes of June 24th? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Ms. Nersessian? Got on mute first.
Aye. Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Alfred?
Aye.
Ms. Zemer?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes. Travis, can you do me one big favor? Turn your video off, then turn it back on.
You're in the wrong order. It's
Yeah,
confusing.
I just want to get them out of the order so that I keep, yeah, okay, now turn it back on. You'll be at the end, so I'll be able to see the committee first. There we go. Just so when I do the votes, I can just go through the screen instead of having to skip over you every time. Okay. Okay, so next is June 30th.
So I didn't see in here, granted I did not reread the entire thing, any comment, any reference to a comment I made about my no votes being it being not
Being symbolic and not an actual being against.
no being real, but I mean not so much symbolic, but not in all a way to be reflective of the town employees themselves.
Okay, so
there was a mention of it about the town clerk for Article 4.
right,
But not for every.
Okay, so here's the question: where do you want to put it, and what do you want to say?
So, well,
I mean, I know what you said. I know you said it at the meeting, but I'm saying, how did you want to put it in the minutes?
Right. So the motion was passed with line items exceptions as below, and I would just say, others, Mr. Dan Alfred, however we're doing the naming, made it clear, when voting that his no votes were, against the process of the implementation of the salaries, rather than a reflection upon the employees themselves.
Okay, can you take that sentence, email it to Mark? Just what you just said, email it to Mark.
Okay.
And then you see, Mark, if you're looking at the copy, you know where to put it. It's the top of page 6. Okay, you see it, top of page 6. Just stick that, whatever sentence he sends you, what he just said in sentence, stick that into there. Anybody else have any substantive corrections to make to June 30th? Okay.
So I'm sorry, just one thing on the field, because we raised the concern about the budget at that point, just the lower cost, because it was in.
Okay, you're way down below. Okay,
yeah, on 4. The schools received a quote earlier that year for 40,000 less. I think we talked about I know we talked about the following week too with Tina on when she raised it, but we raised it as well in terms of what it was in for. So maybe just integrate that into bullet 4.
Okay, so let me see. There are 2 spots in here where we talked about it. There was Article 13, and there was the school committee discussion.
Yeah, it was in the. I was in the school committee discussion, so maybe it's below. Yeah, if it's below, it's fine.
Well, hold it. So I just want to make sure we're capturing what you wanted captured, right? So that item 4 under the school committee discussion mentions the issues with the 40,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you want to add? Do you want to add something there? Or do you want to add something later?
We can add just something here that we wanted. We asked them to go back again and get a new bid because I think the amount that they had was the 500,000, right? Was that the correct amount? So we asked them to go back and update the bid.
Okay. So we can just add to bullet 4, say the committee requested that the school committee update the bid to reflect current conditions or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about it in the next paragraph where I'd asked about the warranted and discounted quotes because when Keith said he was going to go back out and get another bid.
Yeah.
we can maybe
Okay.
integrate it there is fine.
Okay, so maybe at the end of that paragraph, we put something saying
perfect.
the finance committee requested that the school committee basically update the quote.
Yep.
Got that, Mark?
So that would go in the paragraph that starts off about the warranty.
The part,
Yes,
it's on
exactly.
page 5,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, he's
At the
in
end of
the
that
right section.
paragraph, you just say that the finance committee requested that the school committee re-quote the project to see if the discount still applied.
Great.
Okay, so did you email the sentence, Dan? I'll take that as a yes, since I didn't hear you say anything.
I thought I did.
I know I saw your lips move, but I didn't hear anything. You know, kind of like comfortably numb.
Yeah, that's
See if anybody gets that.
generally not how it works with me, but
Okay, any other substantive corrections to June 30th?
First page, line item, transfer number 3. On the copy I have, there's a highlighted amount.
Oh, yes. We need to get that amount. Thank you for pointing that out. I couldn't find in the copy, Mark, that you had the amount for that one transfer. And I don't have the paperwork anymore because I gave it back to Sharon. So I didn't know what that was. Can you just check the tape on what that was and put in the amount there? Thank you for, that's why I highlighted it, because I wanted to remind myself to get that number, and I'm glad you caught that, Tim. So any other substantive changes? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve June 30th as amended per our discussion.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on June 30th? Okay, let's proceed to a vote. Ms. Nersessian,
Aye.
Mr. Alfred.
Aye.
Ms. Zemer,
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, that's June 30th. Next up is July 7th. And this is when we start to get a little shorter. But any comments on this one in terms of this was a lot of this was committee in part 2, right? So the only thing I'd say is, Sue, if you had questions about committee, and check the discussion on Article 13 to make sure it accurately reflects what we, it reflects what we said, but I want to make sure it captures what you want captured in the minutes.
Is there like a thing in the middle of page 5 at the bottom? Looks weird, almost like a
thing in the middle of page.
yeah. Maybe it's just because it's Google.
no, there's some sort of.
Oh, the page, yeah, the page side. Actually, I just realized that the
He
page
put
side.
it in landscape.
What?
It's landscape.
Yeah. What? How the hell did you manage to do that? Okay,
He made
hold
it
on.
landscape. You probably brought it in as a portrait because
Yeah.
he did it because of, I'm talking Mark, but because of the way it was formatted, the way the votes were taken, and he put all the things, it was too long.
Yeah.
And I realized what he had done. So it left it. Yeah, it's landscape, not portrait when
Okay.
you look at it.
Okay. I suppose there's nothing technically wrong with that. It just looks weird.
It's
Was that what you're talking about,
different.
Sue?
It's like a on page 5. It's like a you know how I don't
Okay,
even
hold
know
on.
what
Let
it's called.
me just check the.
But maybe it's
let me-
Google because I'm just
Well,
looking at it.
that's
in
what I'm going to do. I'm
Google.
going to check what I sent and see if when I pull it up in Google, if it looks weird. So let me see.
I'm sure it will be fine because I doubt
This
I've
is-
never seen it sort of overlapping on.
July
Text.
7th. So let me see what it looks like in Google here. 204. Oh, I see what you're talking about. There's some weird bracket or brace or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's a bracket. Thank you.
That's
That was
not
the
in the
right.
document. This is not
Okay.
appearing in the actual Word document. I don't see
Okay,
that.
perfect. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And the Catamount, what we talked about on the field was fine. On this one, it talks about
Okay.
that I had suggested we lower it.
Okay, so any other substantive changes to July 7th? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve July 7th.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on July 7th minutes? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Mr. Sessian,
Aye.
Mr. Alfred, you got to turn up your mic there, Dan. Ms. Zemer,
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes, so that approves those. Next up is July 14th. Let me pull those up. And this one should be a little bit shorter. Okay,
Under the stipend for the board assessors, the line that starts elected officials. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. Instead of
Oh, yeah.
had to be reviewed, I just thought that should be. And I know that's
Should be,
somewhat
yes.
of a net, but it's not us to decide.
yes, yes. That's correct. Okay, you got that mark, just change that to should be reviewed.
Yes.
And that was it.
Okay, any other comments on this one? This one was much more down to manageable, kind of pamphlet size, not Tolstoy size. So, okay, any other comments on July 14th? Okay, if there are none, I'll entertain the motion to approve the minutes of July 14th.
Moved.
Second. Oh, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Oh, it's all yours.
That's
Okay, any further discussion on that motion? Okay, let's proceed to a vote. Ms. Nersessian,
aye.
Mr. Alfred,
Aye.
Ms. Zemer,
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, so that approves July 14. And now we have the July 15 meeting. Okay, which is saving the best for last. I squeezed it onto one page just to I had to cheat a little bit by compressing the header a little bit, but I still got onto one page. Okay, so obviously this, anybody have any comments on this or edits to this one?
So Sue, again, I do. The fifth
Yes.
paragraph down that starts, there was a concern raised. I think it should say there was a concern raised about the lateness of this specific request in addition to all the requests received this year because, and then to keep, it would have helped
Okay.
us budget better. The point was raised that had we received the request during the requested timeframe, that's not well worded, but during the timeframe we asked for, that we may have concluded differently on other financial budget matters.
Right.
Because to me, the prior week or maybe 2 weeks prior, we were talking about other budget items to try to manage through the fact that we were so close to a zero budget and we have monies really that we could have utilized had we really had this information beforehand. So I would like to at least put that part on the point was raised that we had received the requests in the appropriate time frame. We may have concluded differently.
Okay, so how, again, what I would say is suggest a phrasing that we change that to or add to what's there.
Yeah, so there was a concern about the lateness of, and then I would say this specific request, comma, in addition to, and then take out and leave the rest until the end. And then at the end, I would say the point was raised that had we received the requests during the appropriate time frame, appropriate is probably not the right word, but
Earlier.
yeah, okay. Had we received the request earlier, we may have concluded differently on other financial budget matters.
Okay.
Right, because we had the discussion about why was there so much overtime left?
Right.
Correct.
Right. So, okay, so you got that, Mark, and if you don't, you can watch the tape of this meeting to get it right. So, okay, so is everybody okay and understand that correction? Okay, anything else on these minutes? Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to approve them as amended.
Moved.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. I can see everybody hesitating.
I was waiting for Tim. I didn't
Yeah.
want to jump in.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, let's proceed to a vote. Ms. Nersessian,
Aye.
Mr. Alfred,
Aye.
Ms. Zemer,
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
I abstain.
Okay, that's right. You weren't there, and I will vote yes. Okay. So that's it for the minutes for this round. I would say make sure, as I said, make sure you review the ones that the Celeste/Vin ones for our next meeting. before we conclude, one thing we are allowed to talk about without having to post is our next meeting date. I am, given the number of meetings we've had to get to town meeting and that worked well into the summer, I'm not thinking we don't have an urgent need to meet for a few weeks. So I would propose that we don't start meeting again till mid-August or a little later, like sometime around that. Take a few weeks off, give everybody an opportunity to unwind a little bit before we get back into it. We usually do this anyway because once the fiscal year starts, right, it takes a while before things start requiring our attention. And now that we've just passed the budget, right, we'll give it a little time, and it'll also give us an opportunity to see how the things settle with the schools because, obviously from a budgetary standpoint, we've got the feds, dealing with trying to pass another aid package. We've got the schools trying to decide what they're doing about reopening. We've got all sorts of things in flux. So it really, I think in addition to just us needing the break, it's a good opportunity to just wait a few weeks and let things play out to see where things are headed on the state and federal level too. You did see the email from Travis earlier today about the state saying that Chapter 70 will be level funded. That's certainly not bad news. I always just hesitate a little bit at news like that because in 2008 they kept Chapter 70 level also, but then they cut UGGA by a lot more. So when I was contacted about that, Pooja pinged me about that today as well, and I said to her, this is certainly good news, but it's not the complete picture yet. So when we see the cherry sheet, we'll start to see where things really are. And that's, and hopefully in a few weeks, we'll start to have that as the state works through the budget. They are assuming, just one kind of anecdotal tidbit, they are assuming that that they're going to take some of that 27 billion. Remember, we talked about this, the 27 billion for the CARES, that some of that is going to be used in the state budget. So that's their thinking behind some of these statements about level funding Chapter 70. But it's not on our agenda, so we don't need to go into it tonight. I'm just really relaying it in as a part of the picture of why we don't think we need to meet for a few weeks. So if everybody's kosher with that in terms of not, yes, go ahead, Michelle.
Just ask a question.
Yeah.
Are we going to get a new liaison list so that we can start getting in touch with our departments about
Yes.
capital?
I emailed Travis. Travis and I talked about this. I emailed Travis today and told him to, he has the official list. The select board needs to update their liaison assignments, and then it'll come to us. I told him get theirs first, give it to us, and then our next meeting we can talk about whether we want to make any changes to liaison assignments.
Is it because we've got Mark instead of Ben?
Yes. Well, that's why I said we have to change. They have to change because they have Ben instead of Mark. So we traded
Right.
Mark for Ben. So,
Right.
yeah. So that's why I said I told Travis, go ahead and do it with the select board first. Let them update their column, then we'll take that and we'll update our column. So, okay. So expect to see that sometime around our next meeting. I would assume. I don't know what the plan is for the select board, but I don't think it's going to take.
They already did theirs.
Did they already update it?
Yeah, I forget which meeting it was, but I saw it. They went
Okay.
through line by line and.
Sorry, I had responded. I should be able to get it to you tomorrow, probably.
Okay, great. So then our next meeting, we'll talk about it. I'll probably do a preliminary cut at it, but I'll send it out to the committee for review. We'll discuss it in an open session at our next meeting. So.
When were you thinking, Ken? Were you thinking the 18th?
Well, I
25th?
haven't looked at the calendar, but I was thinking at least a couple of weeks. So I would say probably like the 18th or something like that. So give everybody a couple of weeks off. I think that it's a little bit of everything, right? We got to wait and see how there are so many things up in the air right now. We did the right thing by getting the budget through town meeting. We now have a budget for FY21. Departments can start moving forward. But as I said, now we can take a breather to see how all the stuff that's in flight settles out, and not just with the financial aspects themselves, the Fed and the state, but also with things like the virus. And that's why I said school reopening plans, once they figure out what they're going to do in terms of reopening, that'll guide us a little more in terms of what we're going to expect for COVID related expenses. They'll have a better idea of what they're going to need for, sanitizing supplies or services and things like that. And also just within Massachusetts, right? We'll see whether as we get late in the summer, whether we start seeing an uptick in cases, whether we see things stay flat. I mean, that'll start, guiding the finances more than anything, right? When we see how the cases play out. Knock on wood, the state's been relatively steady for a number of weeks. We're at the end of our quote unquote reopening in the sense that the remaining things that are closed are staying closed, according to Charlie Baker. So,
there has been an uptick though.
but I mean, it's been uptick, very slight. And
Sue and Michelle can't go out and go to a party down in Chatham. That's all I can say.
67% off of 67% trailing 7-day average off of the bottom.
The big party down in Chatham with all the different restaurants and everything, all the restaurant workers. It was like 100 people, and people ended up getting COVID, and they had to close restaurants down in Chatham. So I'm just saying, Sue and Michelle shouldn't be going out to those house parties anytime soon.
Get some new masks.
Parties, okay?
Well, I personally think it's these people that go to Vermont and bring the disease back.
Hey, telling you, there's nothing up there. It's great.
But in any case,
mobility data is still 30% below sort of January levels. I don't know about the seasonality of it, but we're
right. Well, again, it's
we don't need to get
the obvious in a few weeks, right? The thing about this disease is that it takes a couple of weeks, and within 3 or 4 generations, if you've got a problem. That's part of the good and the bad of it. It takes a while, which is the bad, but it definitely shows. If you're on the wrong track, the exponential growth hits you pretty fast.
I saw Holliston was up 2 more people.
Yes. Although it's down, I'm happy to report it's down to one active case now.
It was 2 over the last couple of weeks.
2 since June 8th.
Well, but the chief during I think it was still stable as of town meeting, and then it went up, and then it went up again. It had already gone to 57?
It had already gone up right before town meeting, yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed
so
that.
it wasn't town meeting, so.
Not yet.
That's right. It wasn't town meeting. Well, we'll know in a couple of weeks.
No, that's right. I know it's going to be delayed.
So that's why I said we'll know in a few weeks what the story is. But anyway, we have nothing else on our agenda tonight.
So I'm sorry. So no, we have to. Is the date? I want to put it in my calendar so I don't miss it. Do we think it's the 18th?
Now, I would say plan on August 18th.
Okay. Thank you.
If we get to August 18th and there's nothing we need to do, or if there's still, the feds are about to do something, then maybe I'll push to the 25th, but I'll plan on the 18th right now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm a planner.
I can see that. You're trying to manage the risk of missing the meeting. So
that's right. Trying to plan my weeks.
That's right. Okay. So that being the case, did you make the motion, Dan? I heard you say something.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Okay. That is not subject to debate. So we'll proceed to a vote. Ms. Nersessian?
Aye.
Mr. Alfred?
Aye.
Ms. Zemer?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Yes, and I vote yes. That concludes the Tuesday, July 28th meeting of the Finance Committee. Thank you for joining us for our shortest meeting this year, I think. But we're done for tonight. As you heard, we'll be meeting again probably on August 18th. But for tonight, we're finished. So thank you and good night.
Hey.